investor who wants to invest in crypto markets, but I don't want to pay the gas fees, or I don't want to be paying attention to the markets, I want to look at funds on Enzyme Finance, and Minority Venture Capital is a fund on Enzyme Finance. And so I'm going to show you all the information you can get on Enzyme Finance's page and hopefully help you navigate easier. So you can see the share price, which is contingent on the performance of the fund. They have a basket of these blockchain-backed assets or cryptocurrencies. You can see how much they have it here in their balance, the price, the value, which is balance times price equals value, and the change in the last percentage, and then how much of the fund this blockchain-based asset constitutes. And so going up there, you can see the current assets under management. You can actually see this graph. If you drop down to assets under management, there is the 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and it's loading, and then three months. And a lot of 3 months don't show up because this has only been around for 2.5. But this is different than performance because you can just bring on new money in, and you can connect with your Wallet Connect, Coinbase Wallet, or MetaMask, which is right here, downloadable on Chromium browsers. And here you see how many depositors, these are how many people invested in the fund. You can connect the wallet and invest in here. There's also the option to whitelist wallets, or, basically the fund is public, but who can invest in it is private, with these select addresses being allowed to invest. So this is a fund you can just invest in right now. Going down, there's the monthly returns. You can see February only 2%, March 63%, and then April 6.14%, with average being 23%, with this actually having started at $1 on February 3rd. And you can see all that below here under the fact sheet, the inception date. You can see the actual wallet of the fund manager. This is the person who created the fund, and the denomination asset, which is the denomination you can put and invest the fund in. So currently, you can't invest Bitcoin directly into this fund. The Enzyme team has made comments about expanding token denomination assets to be all tokens. And so that's something that they're working on. I believe Ethereum can also, or wrapped ETH can also be deposited here as well across all funds. But this pegs it against the dollar. So from February 3rd, it started at $1 and it went 75% returns in just 2.5 months. And then you actually have the smart contracts right here. These cannot be changed. This is just a front end interface here. Don't necessarily believe this. Always go to the contracts. Then you have three main contracts here. The deployer contract, this deployed all the funds. If you go to Enzyme Network Monitor, you can see that there is 411 funds with 30 million across all of them. This deployer contract has around 400 transactions. Not exactly 411. Haven't really investigated that too much. Might be the previous Enzyme platform, or a different deployer contract might have done some of those missing ones. But the comptroller, what that is it is what actually does all the transaction, what initiates all these trades. And you can see the trades here. You can also see how many people are depositing. You can see the addresses of the depositors and how much percentage each investor has in the fund. So you can see, is this a fund that predominantly has more grassroots investor with an investment being equal across many people, or is this has a whale in it with some retail investors? So that's good for that. And then it has the rule set of max limitations. It has the fees, which is the management fees, the performance fees, and the entrance fee that gets burned and added to the share price. And then they have financials, which is more of that overall AUM type of data. But the comptroller initiates the trades, can be seen here The vault shows you everything that's here on the Ethereum smart contract or Ethereum blockchain on Etherscan. So you can click on these directly and it will open up there. So you can see it has the Minority Venture Capital Fund has 260,000 assets under management. You drop down here under token, you can see how much it's broken down, just like up in here. You can go to the comptroller. You can see all the transactions that's happening here. It's a little bit harder to see. It says the value of Ether is 0, but really you can look at exactly what's going on. So you can see swap on Orion, swap 2 here, and everything going on specifically. So that is a good check if you, especially are a trader and you traded something on this contract to see whether it's been approved, because that still takes a little bit amount of time. So it will tell you that as well. And so you can go directly in the Solidity code, by the way, and there's also a way to get a UML diagram off this using the developer tools. But anyhow, that is that contract. Then you have the deployer, like I mentioned. This fund deployer on Etherscan, it says 402 transactions. So this fund was made on February 3rd. That is about, I believe, 72 days ago in like 18 hours. And so if you go there, we can match the times. So this is a transaction, or this is the new fund creation. This is how much gas fees it costs, $196 to deploy this fund on here. So that's cheap as opposed to the traditional like 20 grand to start a hedge fund. And so if you line the times up, 4:57 February 3rd, that lines up right here. So you're able to see, follow these directly. Nothing will shut down the blockchain. So always check your smart contracts on that end. You have the financials, so you can see all the assets value. These numbers are a little bit different. I'm not too sure on the differentiation between them, but it usually comes down to share supply times share price. So you can see how many shares are issued. And I believe the traders and the fund managers to get paid in their performance in shares. And so it has some key statistics on the returns and how many months are positive. So 3 out of 3, that's great. And also risk metrics like volatility and the Sharpe ratio. This is the fees, and this is all transparent. So you know, off the initial investment when you deposit, 0.5% of your entire deposit it gets burnt, and I believe it boosts up the value of the fund is where that burning goes to. It's like extra performance, really. And then management fee is given to the fund manager. Also, I think this is initial entry, so only 1% of your investment gets burned, and the performance happens by 20%. So only if they make you profit, they reap 20%, which is standard in the venture capital world. And the crystallization period is 30 days after the initial inception date, with this being kind of the thing that sets the clock. So yeah, this is a good way. You can also put these addresses of the vault or the comptroller and follow them directly on Zerion. I believe to just follow the vault, or even the fund managers to see when he initiates the trades and whatnot. And so Zerion is a platform that lets you track different wallets. So I think you go to app.zerion, just like you go to app. Okay, yep, and then let's copy that address right there, the vault copy, and And then now you can see the fund price in live time using Zerion on your phone. And it's just like you watch your other cryptos. It's the Enzyme Fund is the ticker symbol, but it says the name here. And so this will give you other statistics as well. So that is another UI for that, and also the link to the Etherscan, so you can get notifications on your phone. And you should also track other wallets like celebrity wallets or other funds. This can be a tool for that. There are a couple more tabs here on the bottom that we need to look at. There's deposit limits, whether they're maximums or minimums and right now this is disabled. I think it used to cost gas. They may have just made it a quick enable disable button, but to actually change these settings. Minimum, I guess, was 500. I'm assuming because gas fees are so high, there were maybe a couple of hundred at the time just to deploy this contract that we saw for like 160, 170. And so doing a transaction, signing on the transaction, pulling out, that would have been around 400, 500, depending on how congested the network was. So it makes sense the deposit limit would be there, so people are incentivized to put in larger amounts so they make a higher percentage gain. And so you can see everyone who's invested in, and this is their personal wallet address. So if they're doing other transactions on here, you can follow this on Zerion, just like we did for the minority venture capital fund off the first contract address in the vault right here. But this is very interesting to see. It highlights the manager, who's the person who deployed the contract, and also designates delegated traders, who are also people who can make trades, whitelisted wallet addresses that can make trades. And so this is about unique wallet addresses. So they could very well be putting in multiple investors, but using different wallet addresses. It's not hard to make a new wallet. The downside of that is that you have to pay the gas fees for each one, and that takes away from gains. So it's kind of dumb to do. It's better to carpool your money together. And so it's interesting to see, who has more invested in the manager, and then you see since when. And so someone just invested more money in the fund than the manager recently. And so this is good to see whether there is an evenly distributed amount of money going in from different investors, where there are a lot of interested stakeholders, or where it's monopolized, or maybe even one person um, just playing with their own money and using this as a tool to show people, okay, this is how I can trade. And so yeah, and the last one is deposits. You can see the money coming in, and just like I said, I noticed from the depositors there was 26,000 that came in on there. So I mean, it was 24,000, 25,000 in terms of percentage. That's because the price was at an all-time high when they invested in it, so they capped the top, but probably gonna go up. It's looking good, and you can see all the investors there, and then the trades, which you can see on the controller contract address we saw earlier. And this is a good visualization here, because the comptroller, you have to click and do all that stuff, and so this is a good UI for that. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's what's under there. And next is the leaderboard. So that is just a simple breakdown of what's on the fund page. In under the four depositors, you actually have a leaderboard where you can look for other funds that have bigger AUM, which doesn't show the performance since inception, and then this month. So you can see here, like I mentioned earlier, like there's only 10 per there's 10 per page, and there's 411 vaults. A lot of them probably inactive, but if you go all the way to the 8th page or the 9th page, actually, yeah, if you go to the 8th page, 7.5% is the performance of the average hedge fund. So a lot of these funds who may not necessarily be active, or even just doing this as a passive way to show on chain that their performance is better than hedge funds without them really doing anything, they're making better than hedge funds. So you can directly connect your wallet and invest in a decentralized way, and then look at all these funds and see the assets that they have underlying, and even launch your own fund, because you see directly in the comptroller um, how many how much it costs in gas fees to launch the fund. And there's also gas trackers you can look at as well. So that's Enzyme Finance fund page in a nutshell.